Alright, so I've been on YouTube for 10 years and I've seen movements come and go, and they do come and they do go. And I think it's fair to say that the vegan movement on YouTube is now going. Okay, like it's had its peak. It's time for something new. Okay, so what was interesting to me and probably a lot of other people about the vegan stuff when it started off was when it started getting popular was like there's some really interesting new ideas and stuff going on. And I mean, what I thought veganism was one thing, and then I kind of got educated by watching the videos and having these sort of interesting ideas and stuff presented to me. And then, like happens with all these movements, like they kind of blow up, gets really big, and the politics and drama takes over, which is like the entertaining side of it, and eventually like the interesting ideas stagnate and become like a parody of themselves, and the whole thing sort of loses interest and everybody moves on. So like what's going to be the next movement that kind of gets this limelight and has this like ballooning of interest and stuff, and how it creates its own little demimon? And I think it's potentially going to be anti-natalism, and I base that on absolutely nothing other than one video that I've seen on it, and I also base it on the fact that like no one really knows what antinatalism is right now, but it's starting to creep in. People are starting to mention it here and there, and I'm not talking about like on the vegan channels, like the YouTube followers on this channel I have that are vegans or already know what antinatalism is, because it's talked about by vegans quite a bit. But most normal people outside of that world don't know about it. Okay, like trust me, I've asked people and they're like, what's that, right? And now what I thought it was is not what it turns out to be. And I'm not saying that I know what it is, because I've only seen one video about it, but that video was like quite profound and really had me thinking for a long time after I saw it. I've seen it like 6 weeks ago and I'm still thinking about it now. And what I thought it was, what I thought antinatalism was like an extension of the sort of vegan environmentalists, the ones that have really swallowed the dick of a population myth, right? And they think, I thought that antinatalism was people that think, well, we can reduce harm to the environment and we can reduce harm to the animals by reducing the number of people, right? I thought that was all it was, but it's not that at all. It's this whole fucking philosophy and shit, and it's kind of interesting based on this one video. And yeah, what this video was, it was this like woman, right? And she was saying about, you know, like I'm an antinatalist, and this is what antinatalism is, or what it means to me, right? Or why I'm an antinatalist. And what she said was like it's kind of really interesting, but fucking disturbing as well, right? I found it really disturbing. And that is to her. So I can't speak for all antinatalists, right? But it seemed that antinatalism was like against the creation of sentience, right? Like that's what it's against. So it's not against just having, like, you know, reducing the number of offspring or something like this to reduce carbon footprint or some shit. It's like, it's the idea that creating like a person or an animal is like a bad idea, okay? And the reason it's a bad idea is because sentience, or like just existing, right, like contains suffering, okay? So like being alive like contains suffering, and it's like it's more suffering than it is pleasure, right? Or the suffering's more acute than the pleasure, at least. And so you're like, basically most life is suffering. So how do I solve that? Like they get rid of life. They don't create life, because if you create something, you're just creating something to suffer, because the pleasure that it will experience is not is of no consequence. So, with that in mind, like I was just thinking, like, holy shit, this is like, this is the fucking next level, right? And what would it look like? So like, it's like if you see my video, Vegan Utopia, what would if my idea what antinatalism is, if the idea I have what antinatalism is correct from this video, what would it look like if the antinatalism became like a political movement, like the vegans are, right? Like a successful one though, and took over the reins, the means of production, right? Or the means of reproduction even. So like, I think it's fair to say, like, in an antinatalism utopia, like, number one would be sterilizing of the population, or like controlled reproduction, right? Like, nobody would be able to just knock out babies left, right, and center, because that's like a bad thing, right? Reproduction, you're creating a sentience that is going to suffer. So you can't do that. And how far would it go? You know, like, could you end up in a situation where you get people that are like hiding out from basically government death squads, where they've decided it's not just a case of, okay, like we're against like creating sentient life to suffer. We need to actually stop suffering full stop by getting rid of sentient life, because, you know, it kind of follows in the way some people go, they'll take things to the extreme, right? Like, if creating like a sentient life is creating something that's going to suffer, and that's bad, it's not far away from saying, well, it makes sense to actually just eliminate a sentient life because it's suffering. So yeah, I just had this like idea in my mind of like, you're hiding somewhere, right, and there's like death squads looking for you, and they fucking boot the door down, and like they grab hold of you and they pull you and they drag you outside, right, and like they say something like, "Oh brother, we've come to like release you from your suffering," right, and they fucking stick one fucking in the back of your head, like, and kill you. And they're doing it for all the right reasons, right? They're doing it because they're trying to eliminate suffering on the planet. Okay, they're trying to reduce the suffering. Like, that's kind of where I could see it going. So yeah, antinatalism, keep an eye out for it. I think it's the next demi-mon to watch. Now that, as of today, I officially declare the VYC over. And yeah, like, if this video is a rambling mess, like, that's because this antinatalism has completely scrambled my my head. So yeah, like, this just proves it's an interesting topic.